It's too easy to say good afternoon, so I'm going to say peace and blessings be upon everyone on this beautiful day. And when I say beautiful, I'm sitting here just trying to embrace both of the beauties today. And I don't know what's a higher high, knowing that it's my daughter's 18th birthday today, or actually sitting here with the the very smart, very mentally tough, very smiley Lenny Redrose. Um, this guy here is actually not a friend of mine. He's actually my brother. And there's something very, very special with him and I. Look, I find it hard to even describe how he makes me feel. And I hope I make him feel the same way too. Um, this is a guy that's had a very unique, diverse background, and I need to interview him and be empathetic and respectful and focus on all the strengths and resilience and lessons of his personal journey. Lenny, you're a beautiful man, but you're also a beautiful father. And that to me gets my utmost respect. Thanks for coming today. Thanks for taking the time to get here because that's very special to me. And I hope you enjoyed your paper rolls, whatever they're called. Something like that, even eat. I just got them for you, man. Thank you for that. Man, where do I start with this? Who is Lenny Redrose?
Sure, cuz. Lenny Redrose came about after, so my parents are Turkish immigrants and mum and dad's plan was always to go back to Turkey. So birth name was Can Arkadaş Gönüllü. That in itself...
I'm sure I'm tripping over hearing that.
Yeah, so that in itself is probably one of the reasons why I've had nicknames and whatnot. So Can in the Turkish language is spelled C-A-N. And obviously when you read that in English, it's can. So growing up, Coke can, two can, who can, and then me being me, I'd get into fighting, get into trouble. So then my sisters gave me the nickname Aki from Arkadaş.
What's that mean?
So soul, friend, volunteer is the translation of my name. So with Turkish names, generally has a meaning or, something behind it. And yeah, so thankfully, I got a really beautiful last name. And yeah, man, so from there, I, hit 18 and I got a letter from the government, Turkish government, saying you got to come to your military. At the time I was doing quite well with business and sport. So, we just replied back saying, this is my, status at the moment. No problem. We'll send you an update in a couple of years' time. That came about then. And at the time I was a full-blown ice addict, struggling with life. So just didn't reply.
What age was that?
I hit the crack pipe at 19 and then like full-blown addiction by 20. Yeah, but probably even 19, but yeah, 20, 21. I was in control, but I was out of control. I was working. So I always had a good base, with work and whatnot. So once I had routine and once I lost routine, then, the lifestyle would get, quite tumultuous as it does for any type of drug addict.
I know about your past with drugs. I sit here and look at you and I find it hard to believe.
It's the best compliment, man.
Yeah. So my inquiry or question is, what did you learn about that? Is it really the drug that you really wanted, or is it more, I don't know what I'm looking for and this feels good for now? Or because we both have extreme personalities.
Yeah, definitely. Man, honestly, it was fun. The flippers, the coke, the ice, the heroin, the G, everything was fun. It was all, and that was the whole thing in the beginning. Everything's grouse. You have a good time. And I've got ADHD, so when I would actually take ice, I'd kind of slow down and I'd become hyper-focused, where I would have a normal routine, go to bed, wake up normal time. Sometimes obviously you fuck up and, you're a bit late or you sleep in as you witnessed when I was working with you. But yeah, it's just one of those things, and then you just got stuck into it. Just couldn't get out. So you'd been a 2-day bender and then you got to go work on a Monday. What do? You go get another half a gram of ice and that helps you through the day, and then you don't really sleep well that night, and then you have some more on the Tuesday, and next thing you know, it's been 4 or 5 days of use, and you've basically slept maybe 10, 12 hours over 3-4 nights. It's not ideal, and then yeah, it's just easier to keep going, especially if it agrees with you, and the amount of work that I was getting that I was putting out, and what I was able to do was it would work well for me for a time frame.
So it's interesting. Addicts are very resourceful, and when they want something, they go get it.
Yeah.
So you did play soccer
Yep.
growing up as a kid. Can you tell me about your early life and how you got into soccer?
So dad was a mad soccer man. So I was playing, I got my first trophy in 1989. I was born in 85. So I was a 4-year-old playing against 7-year-olds. I don't think I was playing too much, but I was still out in the park with, with the
4 years old.
I was 4 years old, man. I got my first trophy. I still got it at home. So come age 10, I was 6 years into playing with older kids. So I've always been a little bloke, but I've always been a tough little fucker. The pitbull they used to call me. And I'll just go through. I wasn't afraid because I had grown up with obviously the bigger boys. So from there, we moved from Glenroy to Laylaw, and I went to Thomastown Devils at age 11. And there was a thing called the Super League back then. I'm not sure if it's around these days, but I killed it. I was on fire. I was scoring 20, 30 goals a season. And then I was captain of the club. Actually, when I first got there, the coach was like, look, don't worry about it. We've got plenty of players. And I go, Dad, that's what he said. He goes, tell him again you want to play. I'm like, you just said no. He goes, go tell him again. I didn't realize my dad's obviously teaching me resilience and not to take no as a first answer. So I've gone back. I said, oh, hey, my dad said this. He's like, we've got enough players. I'm like, Dad, that's what he's saying. And my dad's like, just let him train for half an hour. If you don't like him, just tell him. And then I was a captain next season. Which, at the time you don't realise. I didn't realise that we were broken, living in commission flats and things like that, commission housing. I never understood anything growing up. And as a child, you don't until, you get a little bit older in life and you understand what your folks went through. And you're like, fuck, man, I should be more grateful for, for what my parents, gave up for us. But anyway, so, and then from there I got put into the Victorian state team where we played national championships, did quite well there. And then I got picked up by the Victorian Institute of Sport at 15 or 16. And I remember we were living in Broadie at the time. So I'd have a letter from the government to say to leave school at 45 minutes early so I can get the training on time. So otherwise I was going to be 45 minutes late and you train 5 days a week. And this is like I said, 15, 16 years old.
What were you thinking at 15, 16 that you wanted to do in soccer? No,
professional. I was going to make them be the best player in the world and all these things. And I was never academically very good at school. So I never really took much interest in, learning math and English. For me, it was always like all my best things was sport. Everything to do at school was sport. I'd play a few different, inter-school sports. Like that would allow me to play footy and soccer on, because normally you get to pick one sport, but I was able to do a couple of things. I was always good at running. Anyway, so 2.5 hours, get the training every day from Broadie to South Yarra, Melbourne Boys Grammar. I remember I rocked up, 2 trains.
No dad to take you, right?
Nah, no way. Nah, 2 dads. 2 trains, a bus, and then walk for about 10 minutes just to get the training every single day, and the same thing the way home.
So here's the thing, you thought nothing of it.
No, man.
You didn't expect your dad to take you around.
Nah.
And all that is actually good for you.
Mate, the best thing when I got into the wheelchair world, I'm glad I had that upbringing because it only just taught me just keep going, man. No one's going to help you.
So I want to go back to your name again because you've missed something.
Yeah.
Explain to me what it means again.
Soul friend volunteer.
Are you not?
100%. That's my characteristics. Yeah, my characteristics.
That's a beautiful thing.
Even my mum's name is Herdgun Kurmuzagul, which is everyday red rose. Yeah, man, it's really beautiful. Hence the reason where Lenny Redrose comes in.
And I think you get your happiness from your mum. Your mum's always smiling.
She's the smiling old lady. I'm the smiling cripple.
She's very
Poker rocker. Beautiful. Wherever she goes, man, she lights the room up.
Yeah.
My dad's very calculated and very just an old wog. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't say much. He's I don't know, very withdrawn and whatnot, which is fine. That's his personality. Where mum goes into a room and just, lights it up and, turns everybody's frowns into smiles.
I will add to something about your dad you may have missed. I've met a lot of people in my life that have their own journey, but I walk into a room and your dad's there. He doesn't make whatever he's going through someone else's part of it. That's what I like about someone. Yeah.
Dad's always taught me, I was always a fighter. And, if I get into trouble at school, I got suspended, I got expelled multiple times from different schools. And I would say, he would ask me what happened. I was like, there was, 3 guys beating up one, so I jumped in for that person. He's like, I don't mind. He goes, get suspended for that. Okay, that's a good value. Where there's been other times where we're the ones, you know, the aggressors, where we had a couple of us and one of them was like, nah, that's shit. That's not how you should, you know, you should be behaving. Yeah. So he taught me good values in that regard. And it would always be, if I did something at soccer, or he would come talk to me at halftime. He's one of those dads that would sit there and yell, do this, do that. Come up to me, he's like, Aki, you know, I mean, stop putting your hands on your hips. You know, I'll put my head down, I'm tired, he goes, and I'll stop moving. And something that I learned even in the wheelchair world, don't stop moving when you're playing. And I'll be like, why, Dad? He's like, if you're flat-footed, how long does it take you to take off? Where if you're moving, you're already on the move. Because it's a lot easier. He goes, if your head's down, you can't see what's potentially going to come. If your hands are on your hips, body language, it's no good. I was like, shit, man. Like I said, at the time I had no idea. I just do what my dad said. But as I got older and, you know, got a bit more wiser, all those little resilient things that he taught me was, and that's the thing, like my dad taught me a lot. It doesn't say a lot, but it taught me a lot.
I was going to ask, did he play?
Yeah, for sure. That was, then I always ask people, you know, from his age group, you know, what was you like? So you got the center circle. They go, your dad wouldn't leave that area, but he would get the ball and he'd be able to pass it straight to your chest with one pass, one touch.
Smooth operator.
Very smooth.
Yeah.
Very, very smooth. Yeah.
Just on what he said about, you know, don't put your hands on your hips. That's for everything in life, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And hands on the hips, like you said, okay, you're tired, but you're letting out a secret.
Yeah.
And when things are very, very tight, everyone looks around like he's got his hands on your hips. So
exactly.
the power of one person holding the line.
Yeah, for sure. But it's also within yourself as well. If you've got your hands on here, you're tired.
You're believing it.
Exactly right. Where if you walk around and go, you know what I mean, you're automatically starting to change the whole narrative in your own mind about what's going on.
Here's the thing. You understand this now at this age, right? I understand it. But how do you get that across to a 20-year-old?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Even a teenager, like I think to myself, what would I do differently? Obviously do a lot of things differently, but it was just those things that my dad taught me. Like, how do you explain? Would have been 12 years old, 11 years old. Like, how do you explain body language? Like, and he's only got literally a minute or so to tell him because the half's just finished and I've got to go and to hear my coach talk. You know, so but there was another scenario where I'm at the national championships. I've scored 6 goals in one game. And everyone was like, Aki, good on you, mate. Aki, good on you. And then I get in the car with my dad and I was like, you know, just bunny for his praise. And I've told you this story, man. He was like, how many times did you give the ball away? And I was just like, excuse me? He was like, how many times did you give the ball away? I was like, what are you talking about? Because you got to be a complete footballer. It's not about just scoring. I was like, I'm a striker. You know what I mean? Where everyone else gave me the praise, he was still trying to improve, which I don't like. Because at that moment, he could have just said, you know what, you played really well, you did this, you know, you scored fantastic goals, but also you need to understand A, B, C, D, where my dad's just like, no, you gave the ball away too many times.
And I suppose every kid wants to hear, I'm proud of you, son.
Especially from your dad, man. Especially from your
dad. I'll share something with you my gift. Every single morning, I see my son passing from his room. He comes and uses my bathroom, right? My ensuite. I see him there and I look at him. And every day, like, there's just something different about him. And I always say, Dad, you're a gentleman. And I'm so proud of you because he just what he embodies at 13 years old, right? To me, I'm in awe. So I say it because I want it, right? And there's a lot of kids that don't hear it and it stays and it hurts and it can linger if you let it. You seem like you've accepted things for what they are.
Yeah, for sure.
And you're doing well with it.
Well, mate, it was another scenario. So I'm representing Australia last year before, whenever it was. I'm going to Germany. I've got the hand cycle. I've got a rugby chair, basketball chair. I've got a travel commode. And I've got two sports bags and a personal bag. So I've got all that to carry with me. And I've got a taxi to take me, a wheelchair taxi to take me. And I couldn't get the hand cycle. I knew I was going to get it into the taxi. So I put it in the back of my car. And I said to him the night before, I said, Dad, can you, do you mind coming in the morning, grabbing my car or grab it tonight? I just need you to meet me at the airport. He was like, can't you just get another taxi? And I was like, fuck, man, I'm going all of this. I'm representing, I've busted my ass, you know, training 15, 16 hours a week. And then the last thing that no problem, mate.
So he's in tune with you with soccer.
Yeah, it's something with the wheelchair that kind of gets him.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that in a sec. Because that is a whole thing that obviously you're new to it. I was new to it. He's new to it. and you will come back to that. It's the whole little thing. What are some of the biggest challenges that you faced when you played soccer, and how did you overcome it?
I was always a late bloomer, man. Very, very late bloomer. I didn't. So at VIS, we used to train on AstroTurf, so on a hockey pitch. So the men's Victorian hockey team would train there as well, and obviously Melbourne boys. And I would slide tackle on the AstroTurf. So we were playing on concrete and sand essentially. And Ernie Merrick, my coach, was like, "What are you doing, mate? I'm bleeding like from my head."
Who did he coach?
He coached everybody up. He won Melbourne victory. Won.
I remember the name.
Yeah. He and I'll be slide tackling. He goes, "What are you doing that for?" I go, "The ball's not out." I go, "When the ball's out, the ball's out." I go, "Till then I run." And he goes, "I've never come across anyone like this." And that was just by nature. I didn't care if the ball was gonna go out. I'll run until, and that's how I was brought up. Commission flats. We don't have a lot, man. And if you need something or you want something, you're gonna go and get it. Like there were times where we were struggling. I was at Victoria Market pinching fruit and veg because we had no food. You know what I mean? It's not something I'm proud of, but it's just, but like I did that, and I did that out of my own will.
It's a survival skill, man.
You know what I mean? I went there, and it's not like I pinched the fucking pallet, but I took some pumpkins and things like that. And I was like, "What the hell's a pumpkin?"
Who wants to do that?
No, man. And I did that. Like I said, I rode the train, went there, grabbed the thing under the tarps, and then just took off. Like I was young. There's not only so much I can carry.
How good does it make you feel now that your son doesn't have to worry about this shit?
I know, man. It's and that's a part of my life. And I guess I look back, or I fear that I'll go through what my parents went through, and I think that's just a subconscious fear of, because we live that way. That it can happen to anybody. It doesn't really matter what you have right now
At any time. I know. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I walked into surgery, came out in a wheelchair, so it doesn't really matter. I tried to crack pipe once, I was stuck on it for 12 years. It doesn't. I mean, it's a moment in time that we live in right now, which is present. And then tomorrow's obviously not even tomorrow. The next minute is not.
I guess you're across the fact that life can change.
Oh yeah.
Anytime, man. More than others.
Yeah, good and bad. Yeah.
Yeah. You had a highly successful soccer career. What do you think made you stand out as a player, and how did you maintain a high level of performance, even though that performance often involved being off your head?
Yeah, look, man, I was really, really, really good till about 16, 17, 18. Like I got, Youth Player of the Year. And then the NSL had closed, and I was busting my ass to get. I was at South Melbourne. I was trying to, I made all my moves so that way I'd go to South Melbourne. I'd go play NSL. Playing with the youth and things like that, training the seniors. So, somewhat achieving the goal, the dream. NSL closed. And then obviously all those players from NSL all flooded the Premier League, Victorian Premier League, which then made the competition even stronger. And I wasn't, at the point I signed for money at a lower club. And
which club was that?
North Coburg.
Why is it just the easier, quicker fix?
Yeah, it was definitely a quicker fix. It was a Turkish club as well, which I'd never played for a Turkish club. But then I was able to go out and party. You know what I mean? And I had no idea, obviously, at the time that was going to happen. But I'd leave Revolver and go to my games. You know what I mean? Like I remember I walked out. Oscar Carino was our coach, and I've walked out. He's there with his family having breakfast, and I've come out. He's like, "Hey, Yucky, how are you?" I was like, "Oh, good, Oz. How are you?" Anyway, we get to the game. He's like, "If you have a shit one today, you're sacked." I'm like, "Oh yeah." So I pump a few goals before half time, and I just walked off the pitch and went back to Revolver.
So when you're in those moments, was there any part of your conscious like thinking?
Man, that's the ADHD. As same thing as I only got diagnosed when I was in my 30s, man. So I had no idea that I was definitely like on the hyper side of things. But no, and that was even like with cheating, with stupid decisions, things like that. Like everything was in the moment, very, very in the moment. It's that's something that, and then I realize now, as I'm older and a lot smarter and wiser, where if I'm getting myself, I'm in a relationship now with Alicia, and I know, I've been very good for a long time, but I just know if there's a girl around and she's talking to me like, "Hey, just want to let you know I've got a partner," I'm not interested. I set my boundary from the beginning, because I can't be fucked with, just another stupid decision.
It's interesting because cheating was not something that I entertained talking about here today.
Yeah.
But we will What'd you learn about that? Because I've done it.
Yeah. You know what? One of my exes, so I had cheated on my first 2 girlfriends, and then
Why? Looking back now.
honestly, I don't. I can give excuses, but I just think it's just dumb decisions. Not being smart, not understanding what love is, not understanding, breaking someone's heart. I remember when I told one of my girlfriends that I had cheated, and she wouldn't believe me, and that fucking killed me, man. But what happened? I cheated again.
It's interesting. One of my drivers for doing this is to actually tell people exactly who I was and how I was. And I can't tell you exactly what to be, but in my opinion, I can only give you my advice on how not to be.
Yeah, definitely, man. I've got the book in that.
I would never, ever cheat on a woman ever again.
Yeah.
And if there's young guys listening out here, I'll go to the footy club and bang some other bird. That's, dude, when I look back, I was that guy, and that's just weakness.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's all weakness. Like, there's nothing more beautiful than learning everything about yourself. The sooner you do that, and that's why I asked you, who is Lenny Redrose?
Yeah.
Because most people can't answer that.
No.
So you have to go through the shit to get the honey.
Always.
But as a man, you're in your finest hour when you start really understanding everything about yourself. And like I say about myself, when I became, she came. And when you have that, there's no cheating.
Man, when I was in the army,
The cup is full, yeah?
yeah, mate, you're happy. I'm so content with my life.
I can tell.
I don't. We talk multiple times a week. I don't need. I've got one woman that's a headache. I don't want another one that's going to become even more of a headache. Yeah. But when I joined the army, so obviously there's a lot of couple bumpkin, blokes in there. There was a bloke that had never had a kebab, just to like give you an idea of how rural or how distant these people are from, let's say, normal, city life. But I was talking to a couple of guys over, different conversations, and I had mentioned that I had cheated. They're like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, you've never cheated?" Like, "No, of course not." I was like, "What? What a loser!" And I was like, later on in life, I was like, "Fuck, I'm the loser, man." As if I thought that was cool. And at the time, being young and dumb, I could add the drugs, I can add whatever else. Yeah, I mean, it all adds something to the story. But in the end of the day, it's a decisions that I made, and that's the wrong decision. And you can throw whatever else in the mix. But yeah, anyway, so I was talking to these Aussie boys, and it was like, "No, man, I've never cheated." I was like, "Fucking hell." And then I'll talk to mates of mine, like, "Fuck, look at this guy."
Dude, the bottom line is, internally, you feel like shit. Secondly,
As soon as it happens, soon as that moment is done, you're like, "Fuck, what have I done?"
dude, I cannot be intimate with any woman unless there's something deeper there, yeah. And I always say, no connection, no erection. It's as clear as that. But yeah, I suppose you have to work these things out for yourself. And then when you're trying to tell a 20-year-old, it's like one
But they have to make their mistakes too, man.
They do.
End of the day, how many times have we told from our folks or our, the elders that we know, don't do this, don't do that? Like, as if you go and do it, you're like, fuck, they just said that, man.
Yeah. But like the reason why we're here now, me and you, and it's a different kind of conversations because you've been there and done it, and we're actually being very open and frank about it.
Yeah, of course.
Drug addiction, as I said earlier, to me, I could, someone said Lenny Redrose, drug addict, please.
Yeah.
But
that's my missus, man. She didn't know me as Aki. She's only met me, we've been together 4 years. Our anniversary was on Friday. And yeah, so when we bumped into, and we knew a lot of the same people, especially in the club world. Like there's certain clubs that I'd go to, I knew the guards, because we'd all be doing lines and smoking pipes together and fucking doing all the other bullshit. And then she knows those people as well. She knows of them. So then we'll, here and there, like, "Hey, Aki, how are you, man?" Da, da, da. And then they'll be like, "You know how lucky you are that you got this guy now?" And Alicia's like, obviously she knows the stories, but she doesn't. Like you can't. She goes, "I can never see." She goes, "I can't see." Even when I show photos of me being funny, she's like, "I just don't see you."
It's funny because I actually said to Sarah this morning, if I met you a few years ago and you saw me and I saw you, we would have clashed.
Nah, I can give on that. No way. But that's, mate, perfect timing, man.
So with drug addiction, how did you, or what do you remember about saying to myself, okay, I need help or I need to do something here?
Mate, it was, I think we had moved to, we were in Strathmore, and I got Definitely Strathmore. So I got an iPhone 12 or 13, 14, whatever, one of the latest, like a couple of years ago, I got a phone. And I was looking at apps. So I was re-downloading apps, and there was how to get clean, all this stuff from 2004. So I knew, so 2004, and it was 2020. So I would have been 4 years into addiction, and I knew that I was stuffed. Or
But what are you looking for on the app that you didn't know?
I didn't know anything back then, man. I just how to get clean, like for instance, NA.
Oh, okay.
Well, I had no idea that there was things like NA. Obviously, I may have seen it in movies, but subconsciously I wasn't. And it's like, if I stopped using ice, then I wasn't going to be able to go to work. If I don't go to work, then I can't pay bills. And I had my own business at the time. So it was just the fact of, do I stop one and forfeit the other? Do I speak to the boys? What do I do? You know what I mean? It was just one of those things. So I was seeing if I could potentially do it. And then I was thinking like doing a weaning off program. You know, if you smoke a gram a fucking day, then, you know, smoke 0.7. And then, you know, I was just looking at ways to that way it wouldn't inhibit my relationship. Plus my girlfriend at the time had no idea I was on it as well. I was such a bad boyfriend, man. But yeah, man, like even now, like being off the crack pipe for 6 years, the things that I know, you know, even when I got friends and people that come to me with, you know, stories of their loved ones or of themselves, first thing I say to them is, whoever's in that scene, block them or ring them and message them, say, hey man, I want to get clean. Please don't answer my calls. You know, just respect my wishes, and that's what I want to do. And a lot of them will be like, oh no, it's not their problem. I'm like, you know what? It's not their problem. It's your fucking problem. And you're not willing to do the one easiest thing, potentially may upset them, but it's just what it is, man. Like I had so many things. I tried to get clean 4 times.
And what was that? How did you do it in the end?
So obviously the wheelchair came. I had a big, as you know, I had a big drug overdose in ICU.
Can I talk about that? Allow me, please.
Go for it, man. You were more witness than I was.
I've actually got the photo on my phone.
Yeah.
So
2016, it would have been early November. It was Melbourne Cup.
he was working for me, and like a fucking trooper, Chad, my back's fucked. You think, a couple of days, 2 weeks, fucking a month later, Lenny, fucking go do something, man.
9 months, 7 months I did it.
Go do something. Anyway, I end up going to an osteo or something.
No, when it's, yeah, so no, when it's a chiropractor, it's like you're dehydrated.
Yeah. Yeah. On the way. Yeah.
And then, but I went and saw Dr. John Kirkus, represent, love you, bro. Chinese medicine, Greek bloke, he was a doctor.
That's the guy.
Yeah, he was a doctor and then went into Chinese medicine, obviously realised that, you know, any Western meds and doctors probably
He
aren't.
knew. He picked it straight away.
Right away, man. He knew straight, he goes, there's something not right in this part of your spine.
See when someone's like,
In tune, man.
and really wants
Yeah,
the best, wants to get, just wants, see the difference?
Mate, he would knock me back. So I'd be there literally like, you know, 3 times a week while we're working together. And I'd leave there, I'd go for a run. Like, mate, he would release me that much. Like he cupped my back and all the, like he took out like stuff from my back because he did wet cupping. I don't know if you're getting in trouble, John, but too bad. He did wet cupping, and then the blood that he took out of me, it was not blood. He goes, oh, you know, look, man, there's something not right. I'm like, yeah, look, I'm an ice addict. He's like, it's nothing to do with drugs, mate. There's something more sinister going on. I was like, oh, okay. What do you think? He goes, look, go to the doctors and get an MRI. I was like, yeah, no dramas. That was, let's say that's Monday. On Wednesday, I went again for another session. He's like, you know, through the session, he's like, did you go to the doctor? I said, I actually don't have a GP. He's like, go see this other doctor. I won't mention his name, but go see this guy, and you know, he'll be able to refer you to get this. And then on the Friday, I went again. So like 15 minutes into the session, he goes, get the fuck up, get out of here, man. I was like, why? He goes, what are you doing? He goes, you're not taking me serious. Like he loved it, man. He absolutely loved it. Like what he was literally preaching, what he was, whatever that analogy is, the saying. And he kicked me out of the room. He goes, I don't want your money. He goes, get out. He goes, go take this serious. And I found a 140 mil tumor in the spine.
When you got official confirmation, what was that? What did you remember saying yourself, or what's the first thing came to mind?
I had illegally parked my car when I was going to see
Standard?
the surgeon, and he's like, Lenny Redrose, and I walked in, he goes, who are you? So I'm Lenny. He's like, no, you're not. I'm like, oh, I definitely am, man. He goes, you shouldn't be walking. I'm like, can you hurry up, man? I've illegally parked my car. This is the neurosurgeon. And he's like, all right, guys, you got to sit down. I'm like, we're going to be long. I want to get another $300 fine or $200 fine, whatever the fines were back then. And he's like, look, you got a 140 mil tumor in your spine.
Impersonal, completely impersonal. They just say it.
No, he's a robot. Even after the whole fact that, you know, we sued the bloke and all the rest of it, and he's just a complete robot. Hasn't taken the acknowledgement of anything that's happened. You know what I mean? Even on the terms and conditions, whatever the thing's called, the settlement, you know, we still don't take ownership of what's happened yet. You know, they paid over some money. It's like, why would you pay money if you don't take ownership? But it's just, and I played the system. I said to all of them, I said, look, I know how this works. You can give me 10 million, I'll shut up. You can give me the money I'm asking for, and I have the freedom to say what I want when I want, like I can now. Or we go to
How good is that, man? How important is that?
100%. Give me 10 million, I'll be quiet. No problem. I understand. And I said to my guy, I get this, man. I understand what this is, mediation. Totally get it, man. 100%. I go, or we go to the Supreme Court, and I have a jury, and everyone's going to fucking love me. And then you're all fucked.
So there's injustice from your end, right? See, it's a driver, yeah?
Yeah.
It's a driver, but it can also be your detriment.
Yeah.
So it's a fuel.
Yeah, for sure.
You get to choose the direction, yeah?
Well, I chose both, man. I chose both. I went low and I came out high. And it didn't, you know, like when I was, as we just mentioned before, the drug overdose in ICU, people are like, oh, how would you do that? I'm like, I went in as a drug addict just because I had surgery. And it was like,
I'll tell you how you did it.
yeah, I'll tell them, mate. But if people thought just because I had surgery, at the time I had no idea that this was permanent as well.
Because I remember you said to me, I'm having surgery, I'll be walking in 2 weeks.
Yeah, he goes to me in surgery Monday, home by Thursday, back at work in 3 weeks' time. But I said to you, I go, look, I'll be back in 2 weeks. I'll just drive the boys. At least that way I'd rather be mobile and moving around.
Fast forward, I've come to visit you in hospital.
I know, man.
Alone, right? And I didn't realize how dingy the Alfred is. It's like World War II. Anyway, so he's there. I go into his room and I see a corpse. So I'm thinking he's going to wake up soon, half an hour later, 2 hours later. I got to go because it hurt. I'll be honest, it actually hurt me a lot knowing that you're not going to walk. And the message is, I've never touched, look, I've had a very good friend of mine, another brother, pass away recently from a car accident. That is something else I haven't processed properly. I will soon.
Time.
Yeah. But rest in peace. To see someone that you love, your brother, your sister, your friend, all of a sudden in a wheelchair, I didn't meet you like that.
No, man.
So it's people.
We only had a short relationship.
Yeah.
There would have been maybe a year.
Yeah,
together,
but
man.
quality.
Yeah. The bomb trying to
Yeah,
say is
of course. But I connected, but even your neighbour, if your neighbour's in the wheelchair, you don't really know anyone. Anyone's suddenly in the wheelchair, like it's hard to understand how it makes you feel, right? So I didn't meet you that way. Anyway, so you're in this hospital, and I just gave up in the end. Thought, I'll leave. This guy's not going to wake up. He's in a coma. I later found out that someone came and did your hospital delivery.
Yeah, well, but he stayed with me.
Ketamine, was it?
Ketamine and morphine was in the IV. Then we're doing ice, cocaine, and drinking, watching the Melbourne Cup.
There's just, I don't see a drug addict. I just see extreme personality.
Even, mate, I've always been with, especially with the drugs. Like a mate and I, we did 104 pills in a sit of the green Mitsubishis. We're doing 10 pills at a time, literally 10 pills at a time, because we were just being dickheads. And then we tried to get into Spearmint Rhino on a Tuesday afternoon. Just dumb, man. Dumb. And that was that's the...
But you wouldn't change that about yourself.
No way, man. I still live my life like that when I train.
No, but you understand that's created your character. Yeah.
For sure. I mean, this is something I'm going to pass on. You know what I mean? Like, my son's going to see me, like, I'm out, like, I piss myself all the time, yeah? So, and the more I lean forward, the more I'm going to piss because it pushes pressure on my bladder. So I don't not do the weeding because I'm going to piss myself. I still do it, and I just go inside, have a shower. There's a way to, you know what I mean? I can just be like, nah, if I lean forward, I'm gonna piss myself. And that, mate, it's ugly to do it. But I still do it because I still need a weed. And then my son's gonna see, he's not gonna see me piss myself or have a shower after that, but he's gonna see his dad in a wheelchair doing what Chad Arcia Fury does. You know what I mean? As an able-bodied.
You know, I see your son, and I can tell he's very switched on.
Yeah, he's a good boy. Yeah. He's only one by the thing.
And it's funny, he looks like his mum, but he's you. The word gratitude, right? I know what it's done for you. I know it, but can you tell others what it's done for you and the power of it?
So, same thing. A lot of the positives around, I guess, my life has been since spinal cord injury. You know, from my chest down, so I can feel my nipples, and below my nipples I can't feel, just to give people a bit of a visual on, my ability. So I would concentrate on the 3/4 that wouldn't work, and that's just normal for people with spinal cord injury. You always, or even someone who might have be an amputee, like, oh, I wish I had my arm and my leg back.
I'll repeat that. You will concentrate on what you did have.
What I wouldn't.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So why can't I walk? Why can't I do that? Why can't I do that? Yeah. And then, I got to a good place in my life where I was off the drugs, I was training, and I started mentoring in the same program where I had mentors. So Naz and Marcus, who now I work for the same organisation, they would come, and see me, and then Marcus and I, exchange numbers, same with Naz, and, would converse about, spinal cord life and whatnot. And then I got to a place called the Royal. So when I went through my rehab, I was the only person with spinal cord injury in the whole hospital. I was in a non-traumatic wing at Caulfield.
I remember coming in.
Yeah.
That's MASH. You remember
that's MASH, man. That's worse than MASH. And then I went to a place called the Royal Talbot, which is heaven. And people who go to the Talbot think it's hell. And I smack them back in line. I said, trust me, where I was hell. Where you are, you're very lucky, man. You got peers around you with people in wheelchairs. Anyhow, so I went there and I met people who can't use their hands. First and foremost, they're tied down to a power chair and they use their mouth to get around, or someone else has to wheel them. And at that moment, the day of my first voluntary session when I was there, my best mate Shefke, who sold his house, and one of the old wogs, and it's not a bad thing, but it just shifted how I started thinking, because I was like, fuck, lucky I'm not as bad as them. And then I was talking with her, and she was like, lucky you're not as bad as them. And I was like, so you're better than me? She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, you're better than me because you can walk. She's like, no, I'm the same. I'm like, but that's exactly what you're saying. You're saying I'm not as bad as them. So that means you're better than me. And then I left that conversation. I left that conversation. I was just like, I am so grateful I can use my hands. My independence doesn't come with my legs. It comes with my hands. That freedom to be able to empty my bowels in the morning, to transfer on my own, to push my own chair, that is ultimate gratitude. Like, that is really understanding. Not saying I'm grateful for today and I'm grateful that I live in a house and that I got food. Yes, we are obviously grateful for that, but I'm really, really grateful to have independence.
So after becoming a quadriplegic,
Paraplegic.
Correct, paraplegic, sorry. So you remember that moment that shaped you, the gratitude moment?
Yeah, for sure, man. It was, look, going back to, with the negligence and stuff like that, I walked into my surgery and came out paralyzed, as I said. 6-7 months later, through all the appointments and whatnot with the surgeon, we were never able to come to a fault or what happened. So I literally had, like, the last meeting I had with him was like, can you just type into Google what happened in surgery, so that way I can find Chad and see what Chad's done or what he hasn't done, if he's had green tea, bubble tea, if he's, put his feet on sand, just like that. He's like, I don't know. I'm like, well, if you don't know, who knows? And this must be why.
Stupid question. The surgery is recorded these days, video recorded?
No, but there's a thing that I'll get to as well. So in the surgery, there's, and I don't know the proper technical term, but there's like neurotransmitter that's drilled into my head to monitor my nerves. So then you've got those technicians who guide the surgeons to, are you going to cause nerve damage? So, we were X amount of minutes in, and they had...
How long was it?
Hour and 30, hour and 20, something like that. So quite early into, like, I was in there for 9 hours, man. It was only meant to be 4 to 6 hours.
That's serious stuff, dude.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So then when they told my missus at the time when I came out of surgery, they're like, yeah, everything went all good. Everything's fine. Anyhow, yeah. So I had that happen. And then, so 3 times they asked him to stop operating and he refused all 3 accounts. And at that point, obviously we had no idea that these reports went missing, as they actually did through the court case. And then we, did some digging and we found them. So they're just, and this guy's quite high up, or was, I'm not sure if he's still there, at the Alfred. And we all know there's very small fraternities, so these guys all look after each other and whatnot. And I was proof of that, man. Like I was getting some really, really good reports on the surgery from other neurosurgeons all around Victoria and overseas. And then there was a couple that all knew each other, and They would write completely opposite to what the eight other people had written in their reports. So like when you go through, and it was 13 months post-surgery, I went and saw another neurosurgeon over here, and I literally blanked out everything that was written on my discharge report, wherever it had his name and hospital name, I blanked out. Because other neurosurgeons, I had seen to other neurosurgeons, they're like, nope, fantastic surgeon. I was like, cool, man, whatever. Anyway, so then we went down this route. And he's like, who's your surgeon? I go, I'm not telling you. I just want you to read what's on that paper and you tell me if my symptoms match up. And he's like, no, they don't. He's like, go speak to another bloke at Macquarie and he'll be able to see what I'm saying. I'm like, what are you saying? Like I said, 13 months post-surgery. This is November, and I had my surgery in October. And he's like, you've got paraplegia. That was the first time I heard it.
So after how 13 months?
13 months post-surgery. That's when I first found out from another neurosurgeon, not from my surgeon. And he can see from the scans and things like that there was no coming back for me.
So, okay.
Probably one of the best days in my recovery. Not that I realized at that point, but me getting off the drugs and turning my life around and things like that, it was a really good day because I was still using quite frequently.
Acceptance.
Yeah. So that was just like, oh, cool, man. So now I've got to stop looking for a cure for something I have no idea of. And I could start moving on. And yeah, so I used on and off for another year, but I had a 6-month break as well within that same year. And then, yeah.
Often when we want to change or we want to shift, we start thinking, okay, how do I get there? So we go to a coach or go to people. My mentality before I do that is I start cutting away at whatever doesn't serve me. So often it's get rid of whatever doesn't serve you. The smallest, how you got into that problem, the smallest steps is how you get out of it.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's what people don't do. They start, okay, I need to lose weight. I'm going to go to these supplements or whatever. Hang on. Let's do a live autopsy on ourselves and cut away what no longer serves me. And that's what people overlook.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's so easy these days with social media. We've got that stupid thing in our hands non-stop that create the biggest distraction to fuel our ignorance and whatnot. But at the end of the day, if you can't, like I knew for me with the crack pipe, I literally said, I'm not having a crack pipe in the house anymore. That's all it was. If I don't have a crack pipe, what am I going to do? I could use four, but I never liked four. But then it got to a point where, someone would ring me up and like, oh, cool, bring a pipe. And then it got to a point where like, you know what, you're not coming to my house anymore.
And I suppose because you and I, we're empaths, we're helpers, we help people as well. So there's always that. But you know what, Aki? Here's what I've learned. Be very selective of who you let into that circle. Sure. Fortify yourself, which I'm sure you've done now. And speaking of that circle, I'm looking at you now with Leash, and also remember your ex. I won't mention her name out of respect.
Yeah. Thank you.
So what I want to get to is, all the red flags. Tell us about your experience, the red flags you can pass on to others, and also tell us the green flags, or how does that feel to you? What did you feel to attract you to Leash that makes you hum or feel really full?
Well, I say to her, all the wrongs I've done have led me to you, not the rights, because the rights would have taken us over.
Sounds very, very familiar, man.
All the wrongs have led me to you. And that's just, I think that's what it is. I was the biggest red flag for girls, but I hit it so well. I was probably a narcissist.
No, you just love to run amok.
Well, there you go. Fair enough. Yeah, thank you. But yeah, I knew I would be a chameleon. I could go into there's good and bad chameleons. So you could. So I felt like I was a good one. I can go into any scenario. I can go talk to lawyers and I could fit in. I can go talk to junkies and I'd fit in as well. I could mold myself to the situation. I think that's what I was really good at doing. Where it got to a point where I could tell my girlfriend where her family had seen me out. Like I wasn't out. And then obviously that's lying. Lying for me now doesn't happen. I'm not a liar. I'm not interested.
Okay, how powerful is that? How good,
man.
dude?
Yeah.
Because we know what that shit feels like. And I'll tell you now, man, like Sarah's sitting over there and you know, it's hard for me to talk when she's here, but I'll say it. When you wake up and you look in that mirror and you have, or even when you go to bed and you have something so beautiful, right? And then you wake up in the morning and it's still there.
That's right, man.
There's no lying.
Nah, what for? Man, I'm 39. I mean, I haven't lied for a long time, but still, I got to a point in my life, I was like, why am I lying? What does lying help? Nothing. It only gets worse. You know what I mean?
The
And
problem is you're lying to yourself.
That's the big-
and that's who you wear down. That's who you wear down.
I believe my own lies, man. I was Axel. When I would go out, my alter ego was Axel. So girls would literally call me Axel. I remember I was with one of my girlfriends, and then these two strippers saw me. Hey, Axel. I was like, Axel, who the fuck's Axel, man? And kept walking. And my missus was like, who's that? I'm like, no idea, babe. Axel, I'm not Axel.
So as young guys, we do it for the girls, yeah, and we think, you know, if I just show I got coin or this and that, and this.
I go out with hundreds, man, and I was broke.
Do you know I tell my son all the time? It's a centuries old saying, but it's stood the test of time. I said, don't be like me. Don't go jumping around trying to. I said, Dad, build it, and they will come. Yeah, build it. Be that guy for you, not for others. Be that guy for you. And I'll tell you now, I always go back to this. He raises me. I'm not joking, dude. He is the guy that I'm accountable to.
That's right, man. That's the best thing.
He's a man of few words,
Yeah.
but surgical. Yeah.
That's
Like he's filtered down
yeah.
all the bad things about me, and he's taking all the good stuff from my dad.
That's a testament
And
to you guys.
he's built his journey himself, you know.
Look, it even comes with the ex being a part of it, mate. It's not all you. It's, you know, it's a both of you here. Will take the goods and bads, hopefully, of everything in life. I look at
What did you learn about the ex that you didn't know about yourself? Or that relationship, you say?
man, she was doing drugs in my house, and I had no idea. So, like, you know, love is blind, or we don't want to see. It's just amazing when, and I was that same person, man. I did all that shit to my girlfriends back in the day. I'd be, you know what I mean? I'd be doing stuff in their parents' house and things like that, and I'm not proud of, but I was, like I said, I'm very honest. You know, and I've covered my tracks in the past, and I've spoken to, you know, the girls, and I've apologized for my actions, and not that it's ever going to change anything, but at least as a gentleman, as a man, I can, you know what I mean, I end up to, you know, to my mistakes. But it's amazing when you don't want to see something, you won't see it.
So, two things. The worst thing you can ever have in a relationship is called cat and mouse. So with your ex,
What's that? Yeah.
there was cat and mouse.
Yeah.
And what you said there about owning up, ringing up or someone and apologizing, I actually did the same thing about a year ago. A girl that, you know, I used to see when I was younger or whatever, and I lost contact with her through a friend. I found her number. I rang her up just randomly because I just wanted to apologize. And believe me, in the scheme of things, it wasn't much at all.
Not at all, man.
So,
Hey, when you take the ego out of it,
dude,
man,
I wanted to
everything's-
do it. Yeah, dude, I'll tell you another story. When I was in Germany, I met a high school friend. She came over to visit me in Germany. I borrowed $300 off her. I came back. There's no internet, no social media. I lost contact. So I was in a cafe in Williamstown about, I don't know, 10 years ago. I saw her. I went up to her. I said, remember that 300 I borrowed? Here's 600. That's how I am.
Yeah.
So getting back to this particular girl, like I rang her up. I didn't have to. I wanted to. My intention was pure because it made me, I wanted to let her off. And she gave me a very, very cold nothingness. You know what's concerning? Do you know what she does for a living? She's a healer. Say no more.
Yeah.
Right? But I did things for myself. Didn't matter what she was going to say.
Yeah.
It was about letting it go.
Exactly
Yeah.
right. I did the same thing, man. I was one of these girls that I was cheating. She was the mistress, if you can say. And I rang up to apologize. Or on social media, I apologized. And she was like, yeah, you really broke my heart, this and that, that, that. I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. And she just kept going. You know what I mean? And really, and I like, and probably one of the good moments again to not go down that path because you hurt people.
Yeah, the karmic debt. And I'll tell you, speaking of breaking hearts, there's two types of breaking hearts, right? So the breaking hearts is maliciously. That's like the darkest of the dark. But I would advise, and I did this. The two most powerful words in my life that I'm still learning to say are yes
And
no, right? So I fell in certain situations because I didn't want to break someone's heart. Believe me, if anyone is listening right now, if you can look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, this is the best thing for her,
yeah,
and for me, do it. Do not feel fucking bad.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you will pay the price. I felt bad.
Yeah.
It's called the dignity trap. I fell for a dignity
I've
trap.
definitely been there.
Yeah. So, but I used dignity to get out of it,
Yeah.
not my hands.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's very true, man. Very, very true.
you know what I mean? Yeah. Life lesson. Were there any challenges in maintaining your sense of identity after your injury, especially considering your past athletic success?
Not just with even obviously, so, with spinal cord injury, there's a wheelchair. Once broke up with the missus, it was like, am I going to find another girl? Is another going to fall in love with me? So there's that, obviously, that big trap there. And the boys being the boys, of course, man, it's you're funny, this and that. I was like, nah, no way in the world. And I was training like a machine. I was looking really good. And it happened, man. I was
Training. How important is that to make you feel good? And
if I wasn't training, I'd still be on the drugs. I'd overdose, I would have died, been in jail, who knows. But if I didn't, and that was biggest part of my healing and recovery was through sports, wellness and fitness, man. If I didn't start playing wheelchair footy,
which is brutal.
Yeah, it is.
And basketball.
Rugby is more
Rugby,
brutal.
yeah.
So if I didn't have, any one of those three or all three, then I definitely want to be here. Like I feel good about myself. There's obviously times that I feel better, put weight on, lose weight, whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, I'm in a really good place mentally, and that allows me to be happy with my weight or not happy with my
Happy
weight.
with everything. Inside job.
Yeah.
I'll make your day here. When Jesse said, who's coming on the podcast? I said, Lenny. He said, Lenny. I said, yeah, you know my mate. He's in the wheelchair. He goes, oh, that's the guy who had all the girls at the club. That's him. So I never, despite what you were thinking, that was always going to happen.
Yeah.
Dude, it's in here. It's all inside.
It is, man. It is.
All of it. When you're young, you think, oh, I'll go get the Ferraris. It's got nothing to do with that.
I used to go with $100 notes, man. Because I want to go to the bar and flop our money
It's
to
not
live
the
a
Ferrari. It's just that, generally speaking, when you got the Ferrari and all that, you kind of pumping out a different energy, but that's not necessarily authentic, right?
Nah.
Yeah. So believe me, if you can elevate internally, right, everything comes out. When you find you, really who you are, that's when everything changes.
Mate, my biggest thing was laughter.
It's
If
everything.
you can make someone laugh,
Yeah.
guy or a girl, doesn't matter. I'd be friends with anyone. It wouldn't matter because at that point in my life where I'm single, I'm in a wheelchair. I just want to get out, meet people. Let me come out again. Obviously, I was in a relationship. Not obviously, but I was in a relationship for 4 years, and it was fucking 4 bad years. Well, not bad, but it was just 4 tough years. Obviously, throw a wheelchair in there, the addiction and things like
Can't
that.
describe it.
No, you can't. And these are just words. And unless we sat here for another 2 hours talking about scenarios of what happened in that or in those relationships, and there's a lot to talk about. But it's just one of those things where when I just wanted to get out and just meet people who aren't drug addicts, because my circle was only drug addicts, and that's hard when you're trying to get away from addiction. And then that's what's happening.
You literally have to cut a part of the old you. That's got to die. Yeah, it's got to die. I've lost my train of thought. I just had something to say you just remind me of. But no, with your relationship and all that, you know why you attracted her, don't you?
Which one?
The bad one, we'll call it. Yeah. Because that's what you were vibrating.
Yeah, guaranteed, mate.
Yeah.
I wasn't even vibrating, man. I would have been like a dead fish. It was no vibration at all. It was very it was just one of those things in life where, but it had to happen. That's the only thing. Like Leisha always go to me, how'd you go from, the girl before her to her? And I was like, how do I go from her to the girl before her? Well, I went from a drug addiction relationship to a normal one, semi-normal one, and then to having the most normal relationship I've ever had. You don't look like any girl from the past, and that's what got me. That's what attracted
At the start, it feels good, but it feels kind of weird.
Yeah, man, for sure.
There's
Drugs.
There's an adjustment period, isn't there? Because you're so hypersensitive to something going on. It's like you found an oasis in the middle of the desert, yeah?
Yeah, you're just waiting for something. Like, we're waiting for the skeletons to come out. Here we go. She's going to be a fucking axe murderer or something. But no, and that was just that's the beauty. And like we've said multiple times so far, she can't see the old me. And what a compliment that is. And so I've worked so hard on myself, and I'll keep working hard on myself, not to avoid that, because I'll always talk about it. And, it was my son's non-religious blessing on the weekend. And my brother-in-law asked me, are you going to do a speech? I said, no, all right, because we had a celebrant come in to do the non-religious blessing. And I'm like, no, guys, you got to do something. I'm like, yeah, cool, you know what? And when I was putting my son to sleep that night, I'm like, this routine is what I'm going to talk about. Like, you know, what our connection, I always thought kicking a soccer ball and things like that is going to be, you know, the can't wait for moments. And then inadvertently, this has happened where I put him to sleep every night, you know, he grabs onto my arm. But before the speech, I'm like, all right, obviously, you know, this day is about me. And I'm going to start every good speech with about my drug addiction, me winning gold and carrying the flag for Australia. And obviously, that's just it's a funny topical thing, because when I meet someone new and it's like a little bit rocky, I'm like, man, this is my history, the drugs, the cheating, everything. And they're like, far out. And I'm like, that's a part of me. Like, I talk about the worst things.
So many people won't understand. A lot of people frown, but I don't do it. I do it because it's something I want people to know.
Yeah,
As in, like, I want people to know, like, better for me than others.
Yeah, I don't hear it from someone else, that my history. Yeah, I'll tell. It's the same thing with Leash. Like, Leash listened to a podcast with DK, and on that podcast was me talking like this, and before we didn't even know each other. So I can't even lie to her about my past. I'm not interested anyway in lying, but it was just like we had that bond and that connection from the beginning of Absolute Truth, and we were mates beforehand.
It takes a very special woman to deal with you, and even you. I'm sure I'm not easy. Not just you, your personality.
But the injury too, man. Their injury is a big.
Oh, that's next level, lucky. That's dude.
That's unbelievable.
That's next level. I do the same for whoever's in my life.
Yeah.
It's actually.
Everyone thinks that we were together before the injury when they see us. I was like, no, I met her after. They're like, what the hell?
That says it all, yeah.
I met this Lebanese bloke a few weeks ago. He started crying, man, big boy, gold chains, this and that. Then we just somehow him and I, we just started talking. We ended up knowing.
You wear him down. Yeah, you wear him down.
He started crying on my shoulder.
Yeah.
He was literally sitting on my lap.
Okay, that is like the best buzz in the world.
Yeah,
I had 3 of them one night.
And he went up to Leash. He's like, you know what? He goes, you're an absolute legend.
Because people can't do it.
Nah, man,
Yeah.
it's not normal.
People can't do it. Dude, it's important to do you, man.
Yeah.
And whatever you is, just keep doing you. If it makes you feel good, keep doing you. Something I forgot to mention earlier, I just remembered, like, on nightclubs and girls and all that. I'll tell you something very personal. So when I used to go out drunk off my tree or whatever, no problem, I could talk to any girl I wanted. So in my divorce, the best buzz was, all right, I'm not doing that. I want to learn to talk to a girl like I talk to a guy.
Yeah,
so the best buzz was actually going around, walking at Coles. Just you bump into a guy, you make them laugh. So just talking to a girl. Even I started with older women. So I was still insecure about talking to a girl like that, because I didn't.
Yeah, of course.
You know, like I'm in my club, I'm in the hunting.
Yeah.
Right? Coles, I'm not hunting. You know? So I started with older women and all that, just being myself. The best buzz, part of my elevation, was be able to talk to a girl like a guy.
Yeah, man.
It takes a long time, man. It's.
So I said before, I would talk to anybody.
Yeah, you've been like, yeah.
I've always, and I think maybe because I grew up with sisters, like I never saw a girl as a piece of meat, like, oh, I want to go and have sex with her, or whatever. But I've always been that type of guy where I just talk to you. I don't care. Me when I'd go out and I'd be off my chops, would be dancing. I would not bother. Like my best mate Steph, she'll be a full testament to this. She knows of what I'm like. There was never about going out and getting girls. It was just about having a good time dancing. And
I think that's actually a superpower, man. You know, like I struggled to do that. That's why I loved, like, going out, partying, crossing that line. I'm at my club, go run a mark, but then I realised there's no power in that.
Yeah, not at all, man. That's just, mate, honestly, I'd go out on my own and dance.
Yeah.
I'd go out, like, to clubs and stuff on my own. I'd go to festivals on my own, and I'll just...
And bro, I'm going to say this, like, womanizing and all that. Like, I always, look, I tell my son, I keep things very simple. I muck around a lot with him, but he knows where I sit. And I got a saying, I told him this. I said, the womanizer thinks he's smart. One, he makes them feel like shit, and I'm sure he's going to feel like shit. I said, you want to be a charmer, son? I said, you know what? I said, because a charmer makes her feel good, he feels good, everyone's happy, and the charmer always gets repeat business.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's like...
The womanizer gets the sale, doesn't get the customer.
It's a respect or fear. Which one would you rather, you know what I mean?
No, 100%, yeah.
And I remember my dad asked me, like, fear, I want people to fear me.
No, right.
He goes, you want respect?
No, dude, yeah.
I was like,
You're
Right, fair enough.
yeah. And as a young kid, you kind of want the dad that's for you, don't you?
Yeah.
But as you get older and you realize that's actually
Nah,
not
not
what
what
you
I
want.
want, man. It's not real life.
We're competing in. So you had a competitive personality, which you're tenacious, you're committed. Like every time I've heard you train or play something, it's either stop or flat out.
Yeah,
That's your mentality.
it's the addiction.
So that led you to becoming an athlete at the Invictus Games. Tell us about how that started and what was it like when you put that uniform on? Being there, getting there.
Yeah. So it was 2.5 years post surgery, and I've only been clean 6 months at this point in my life. 6 months willingly. Like I had been clean in other periods when I was joining the military and stuff like that, but because it was forced upon me. Willingly being clean 6 months. And then my mate, Matt Brumby, who had only coincidentally met through another mate, he was the current co-captain of the Australian team, and the games were in Sydney, 2018 that was. And we did a training camp together just up here in Maribyrnong. And he's like, mate, you need to get a part of this, this and that. I'd only been 2.5 years in a chair, so, not really. But 2 years I'd been on drugs, and like a half a year I'd been playing wheelchair footy, so just getting back into fitness. If you've done this in 6 months, you should be able to achieve a lot, whatever. So I went and bought a hand cycle out of my own money to just to start training on the hand cycle. Got in touch with the Invictus guys, went to a training camp and blitzed it, did really well. And obviously having spinal cord injury, there's not many people in the military that have spinal cord injury. So everything works on a point system when you're a part of a team. So you can't just have all your best athletes. You need to have a mixed ability. So, 1 or 2 people with spinal cord injury, one guy or girl that's got a missing leg, and then a couple of other people that might be able bodies or people with post-traumatic stress. So, I had an advantage, as people may think is a disadvantage, but I had an advantage up my sleeve where I was in the chair full time. So I was always pushing a wheelchair, where a lot of these other guys and girls weren't pushing a wheelchair every day. So when I went to this camp, I was on fire. I was really quick. And yeah, I got selected for the when was COVID?
2020.
Yeah, so 2020 were meant to be the games in the Netherlands, and then COVID came around. And then from there, it got postponed for a year, then it got postponed for another year, and then we were pretty much told that, look, it's not going to go ahead. And I was like, of course, man, like just another thing to really, make things difficult. But through that period, I got really, really, really fit, really, really healthy. And from that, it was one of those, I guess, things I'd never really realized was like, look how hard I still trained because I'm training for something. And I always remember Marcus, my mentor, saying to me, he goes, I spoke to him about my soccer career, how I stuffed up with the drugs and stuff like that. He's like, don't fuck up again with drugs. You know what I mean? Like this is your opportunity. And I was saying to myself, I'm like, the universe is telling me because I stuff up all my soccer career, it's taking away the Invictus games from me. And I was like, cool, man, I'm happy with that. You know what I mean? It's just a part of life, and it's a loss, and I need to be a man, and and just own up to it and move on. And then from there, the games got called back on for 2023. Went over. I got a gold for hand cycling. And I got a couple of 3 bronze. The games after that, obviously now being a senior member of the team, and I really kept up playing rugby, playing basketball. I was with the BIS. So training, like I was saying before, 15, 16 hours a week of sport, which is amazing. Like in a wheelchair, it's really hard to do, all with my pain and my spasm, things like that, early morning wake-ups. But the commitment was there, and that was just another thing, I think, with my addiction or, addiction lifestyle. It's just something that it aided me. And then luckily enough, I carried the flag for Australia. And
I actually forgot about that.
yeah.
So here's a question. So when you carried that flag, you would have had flashbacks of how you started to where you are now.
My mates, I was getting messages. At least my mates are watching it back here. It's like, how the fuck are you carrying the flag?
It's just so, I know how, because it's so you. The smile, Aki, it's the smile. I know it. When I saw you, I didn't know you carrying the flag, but when I saw you smile, that's you. That's you.
That's what the boys like. How out of every single
I'll tell you, you're the guy that walk into a nightclub full of 5,000 people and you'll know everyone by the time you leave.
Yeah.
That's a certain cat.
It is, man. And that's what it is. And it was all just, it just, mate, it worked well. I was just, you know what, man? there's not many moments in life.
Dude, forget
You can't pay money for that.
That's
man.
what I'm.
It's that like
This
even,
is where I'm getting with
yeah.
all this.
And this is all just hard work, hard work, and it's just
Lenny, that's the buzz.
that's the buzz, man. And then when it stopped, so obviously we're doing Spartan races, as you're aware. You did one with us last year, and I've been doing it.
Actually, do you want to tell about my first little? Before you tell that story, I actually fell.
How much time?
The first obstacle in the Spartan race. 48 years old, never done one. Cool. No worry about 10Ks running, easy. The first obstacle was like 2 meters into the course. Remember that fence at the jump?
Not even 2 minutes. It's the first. It's
I fell. I fell. Right. Okay, cool. Get over it. Start running.
monkey bars.
I get to the monkey bars. I'll tell my little bit, then he carried on. I thought I was still 10 years old. I went to jump on the monkey bars and grab it. Lucky, what happened?
So you go, so grab it, and then all we hear is a we're a little bit ahead because everyone's just doing their thing, and that's Chad on the ground.
Biggest, loudest thud that I reckon measured on the Richter scale destroyed my hip. That was like,
What a wake up
welcome
call. Yeah.
to a whole new world. You ain't that guy, man.
Nah,
That's what I said to myself.
it's
But it's such a buzz. Right.
wait till we do bright, man. Like Werribee's very, very easy. It's very flat. It's obviously, it's still a little similar obstacles, or we'll have a lot of the same obstacles. But when you get to Bright, it's just a different beast where you're looking at hills that is like dirt, rocky, and you got to carry a 25 kilo ball, and then you got to carry a 100 kilo person with a wheelchair. Just pre-disclaimer, I'm not 100 kilos. The wheelchair at me is 100 kilos.
Oh, dude, if it was 200,
no,
I was good carry. For me, that's actually the buzz. The buzz is not the running for me. It's actually being there with you, going through that suck with you and the guys. That's the buzz. Yeah.
Mate, the boys were saying last year when we did it, I go, how easy would it be without me? And they're like, we thought it was going to be hard just doing the race. I was like, no, I make it difficult.
It's not even carrying the weight. It's actually trying to grab
Navigate, Evs, man.
and grab a position, like grab part of you.
Yeah.
Carrying.
Mate, wait, like I said, wait till you see the go tracks that my wheelchair doesn't even fit. Like the things that cross our minds to be able to complete a task. You're like, it's all right, boys, let's just rip me out of the chair. You know what I mean? Carry me hands and legs. Someone else carry the wheelchair, take the wheels off, and then go. Like there's going to be so many, and then when you're 4 or 5 hours into a race and it's 30 degrees, and then people start dying, and then negative thoughts start coming in. So when you do your 3-hour training sessions, because you asked me, how do you gear up for a 6-hour race? I'm like, you can't. You just got to train, man. You got to go to the hurt locker.
I just want you, like, we know how good all this shit feels, right? And we know, honestly, there's no higher high. No. When you've been through, and then you choose fitness as part of the new you.
Yeah.
What do you say to the guy sitting on their couch right now, smashing up a pizza, who his subconscious wants to, but the doubt pulls him back?
Man, so my cousin Arkin's doing it. 125 kilos. It was 125, I should say, like 7-8 weeks ago. He's dropped nearly 10 kg. And it was like, oh, no, I can't do it. I said, no, you can do it. I go, one of the boys, Cricko, he was 120 kgs last year. He'd never run more than 5Ks, and his dream was to do a half marathon. He did a half marathon up and down those mountains, up and down those obstacles, did it all. And I said to him, bloke, I go, Cricko did it last year. What's your excuse, man? I'm in a wheelchair. Don't even use me as the excuse. You know what I mean? It's like I'm forbidden now to even say I'm an excuse. I mean, because if I don't have to park, I'll park around the corner.
To just for you logistically to get to where you need to go. Like the logistics of your day to day is something that freaks me out. Before you even train, dude, I have 3 showers a day. It's a chore. It's like hectic.
I'm on 2 showers.
Yeah,
a drainer.
it's a hectic. Yeah, but like I'm able-bodied, and it's like, so I know, like,
yeah.
But I just see so much value in it that there is no other life for me.
And I've met, man, it's like I do things pretty good, and then I've got mates that make me look disabled. And I was like, how do you actually do that easy? But they've been rocking the chair for 20 years. You know what I mean? And it's just, but it's also, I ask people the question, would you rather have your injury early or later in life? And I'm like, I'd rather have it early, because if you don't know any different and you get primed into having spinal cord injury, then it is what it is. You're still a teenager in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because when you're a teenager as an able-bodied, you do dumb things. You ride a BMX, you crash it, you break an arm. Do the same thing in a wheelchair. Yes, things might be harder, but you adapt a whole lot easier and quicker. Where some people will say, no, I'd rather have experience and go into a chair later in life.
And isn't it interesting how as humans we adapt?
Some Some of us, yeah.
When you but like people, sometimes they're hating on their life, yeah. But if you suddenly find yourself in a dangerous situation, you're about to lose it. Believe me, you'd be clutching at a straw.
Yeah, some people look for it. I don't know if it's real or not. Like, yeah, I don't know, man. I've met a lot of people who haven't made it in this world, who have given up, and it's really sad to see, because you can see a spark in them that can come out. Like, same thing happened with me, and I always say, it's very cliche. If I got out, then you can get out. But the hard work I did on myself is the difference. Maybe the drugs for me helped me. Didn't actually let me soak in the reality that I was never ever going to walk again, that I'm never going to be able to have an orgasm, or I'm going to live in pain for the rest of my life, or have spasms, or have medication. Like, I've cut it's funny, like I was prescribed by a doctor for medicinal cannabis, but then on the package it says you can't drive, but yet I can have a whole bunch of opiates and I can drive fine. So what if I'm better off on the medicinal, why can't I use that instead of taking 4 or 5 endone? Then that blocks me up and I can't empty my bowels on my toilet for 3 hours the next morning, just so I can have a good night's sleep, where I can have a half a lozenge and I'm sleeping grouse. You know what I mean? It's very circumstantial to everyone's journey. And like, man, I grew up rough, I grew up tough. And that's why I was saying earlier on in the potty, that I'm glad I had that life beforehand, man.
100%.
Because if I had an easy life and everything was roses,
So the tale of 2 tigers, yeah. One was bred in the wild and one was bred in captivity. And James Packer is a typical tiger in captivity. And I hate to use that example, but people wish to be billionaires. But cool, if that's your dream,
it's like celebrities, man.
go get it. But if that's not your dream, that's what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
And I always look at you, and I'll never forget this story. It's a little off topic, but yeah, I never forget the way you described it. When you're at some strip joint, and we won't mention who, but some bikey club comes up to you and says, "Hey mate,
When I was in the
it's time to buy your turn to buy drinks." Listen to this,
man. So we're at a club. Sorry, I just got some spasms. We're at a club, and I'm with a friend of mine was a friend of mine. Let me just get this spasm sorted.
Sorry. And this is the stuff people don't realize about people in chairs. I didn't know this stuff. Yeah.
It's coming time. That's why I looked at my watch before. It's coming time for medication. So it's literally, my body's that addicted to it that, it's letting me know that you gotta be wary.
It speaks to you after a while, doesn't it? When you pay attention to your body.
Sure, man. Even like going to go to do a pee. Like, I know, like, I've drank a lot of water, so I'm probably gonna have to go to the toilet soon. It's just one of those things. Like, I would back in the day be like, all right, I literally have a timer on every 4 hours, do a catheter. Well, now I can feel like, and that spasm there is probably a part of what's happening, that I need to go to the toilet soon. But they're just little things that, and a mate of mine who was 7 years in the chair, and I was very early, he's like, trust me, he goes, you'll start learning at 6, 7, 8 years in. And I'm 8 years in, and I've learned.
It literally speaks to you, man.
Yeah, man.
I'm telling you, pay attention. Yeah, well said, yeah.
And and I guess I think coming off the drugs and all that type of shit as well, I'm able to listen to my body.
The fog, the clarity. Yeah, man. Yeah. And what's important about exercise that we don't acknowledge enough? It's the fact that you buy yourself in a healthy way. In a healthy way, yeah.
I told you, man, when you were cycling and I was running, bro, just get out on the pavement, man.
It's funny. I actually got on the bike the other day, but so speaking of tricycles.
Yes, that's right. So, this is probably going to be a bad one.
My favourite story.
I'm probably going to get back to
who does this?
So anyway, so we're out with some friends, and they've come up and they're like, next round's on you. Now, I'm not going to say this story because I'm going to something's going to happen. I'm going to get my head kicked in by something.
There's no names.
Yeah, but bikies, who knows? I might fucking...
No, they kicked your head in.
I know, but it might happen again. Anyway, so I'm like, next round's on you. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, what about you and your tricycle gang go and get fucked?
Where'd you end up on the floor?
On the tiles at this particular club, getting my head bounced off, and the security guard.
But you're laughing at it, man.
I was laughing, and the guy's like, at the end of it, he's like, you know what? I must admit, you guys, you're a funny kind of make up cunt. But he goes, let that be your last warning.
That's the thing, like the funniness, man.
Yeah.
Like dude, when I got locked up, it wasn't long, but I was fucking cracking. I had the worst and the best times of my life. I was cracking up at myself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's funny, man. Like, I've been in some really sticky situations. And I look at those moments, I was like, fuck, that was fun, man. A lot of fun, like living in a house with no
When
electricity.
you cross the line, right? Let's say, because remember, most of our pain's self-inflicted.
Mm.
We know how things could look like, and part of that I've learnt, we love risk.
Yeah, man. That's ADHD,
You
bro.
know, we love risky behaviour.
Have to, man. That's like one of the first.
Actually, would you come skydiving?
My only fear is when we land, where my legs are going to be. So if they land, because my legs will be spasming and stuff like that. So I don't know if it's safe. As in,
Yeah, like impact wise, yeah.
yeah. So I don't want to land and then have a broken leg or hip or something like that.
All right, so here's a question I definitely wouldn't know the answer to because it looks differently for everyone.
Yep.
What's not necessarily what's a bigger high, but describe the two in the scheme of things: carrying the flag or being a father.
I think carrying the flag's obviously for a period, and then being a dad is ongoing, obviously. The moment of being selected to carry the flag was a complete surprise. We're at the Governor General's house in Sydney. And yeah, and my peers had chosen me to carry the flag, I think, which is really beautiful. And yeah, so once that got called out, and they had recorded it, so they caught it live, which was really nice as well to see. And then that was beamed all around Australia, like on the news. But then obviously having Tilsey is something that there's, from obviously birth, you don't get much, mum obviously does a whole lot of her breastfeeding, things like that. So now as he's older and him and I having our moments when he sees the wheelchair, he comes in, he knows how to climb up now. So I think, yeah, it's obviously very different in any regard, but, for that split second of the flag was unbelievable. But then, ongoing being a dad is definitely troopers.
Being a father is, I mean, look, sticking your dick in someone is not huge, or spreading your legs, but being a father is huge, and you've earned that right, definitely, to advance with that. But carrying the flag out of nowhere, that's pretty big, man.
It's massive, especially with my history where I've been. But I also worked really hard. It was I worked really hard at it, and I've always been I was captain for basketball and rugby, so they couldn't pick anyone else other than me. Which once again, testament to how hard I was working on both those sports. And it's not just the fact that I trained so hard in those sports. It's obviously the characteristics that I have, to be a captain. I was always a captain when I played soccer. I think it just comes natural. It's effortless for me in that regard. And I think that's where it comes from, where I don't have an ego. So there were times where I was like, cool, man, we're winning. I'll just come off. Let the others, have their run around as well.
Ego is a part of it, but if I can also describe your mentality from being your friend, you got that, it's a big fuck yes, or a big fuck no. And to get where you need to go, really, it's that decision right at the start that'll get you where you need to go.
Well, that's what I find. I'm always going to train regardless, but I always feel when I've got something to train for, the beast comes out, which is not always the best, because it can, be detriment. Like being in a wheelchair, pushing a wheelchair is the hardest thing for us to do. And it's not natural for the shoulders. So I sometimes feel if I've only done a 2K push, but a 1 hour training session, that I haven't done enough for the day. But I also need to realize that if I over push, I've got tendinopathy in my left shoulder, then I'm going to be injured.
That's in the chair?
That's in the wheelchair, yeah. So that's why I'm obviously pushing. Like I said, it's like you walking sideways everywhere.
How come you can't get an electric one?
What for?
No, like to relieve that.
No. Well, you don't get biceps by electric chairs. Might have some good finger muscles, but not the.
There you still do have that you've overlooked. Your legs are better than mine.
I understand that. You know what I mean?
Fatherhood. Back to that, because that's something. It's pretty much. It's really it. Yeah. So becoming fathers is a significant change. How has fatherhood impacted your view on life and your personal goals?
We actually said this in the speech. The celebrant said it on Saturday. I realized how important I was to my parents, because now I see that, for the first time ever, there's unconditional love. And that's what I've got for him. Obviously the missus as well, but when it's your son, I know everything about him. I was there from from the beginning. So I'm going to be able to tell him in a few years' time, this has happened, that happened, and it's going to be, all of that. So I've learnt unconditional love where if it's like he's teething at the moment, so our sleeps have been terrible. But, you know what I mean? I still got up this morning, got him out of the bed so at least she could have a bit of a sleep in. Now she got another 1.5 hours just to help her through the day because I knew I was going to be out here today for a few hours. So I was like, just do the right thing, and I sacrificed my training so that way at least she could have her snooze. I mean, and that's the thing. Like I got him out of bed because otherwise he was just going to keep making noise and whatnot. So I got him out, she got her rest. I had my one-on-one time with him. And, you know, I mean, that's just the little thing about, you know, being a parent.
So listening to you since you become a father and having many conversations, what I really respect about you, and I actually thought about this morning, how important this is. You don't have an expectation of your child. You don't want him to be a doctor, a lawyer,
Yeah.
a soccer player. You just want him to be him. And that's actually very, very important, man. Like as parents, like a lot of parents go wrong where they have an expectation. I want my daughter to be this.
Vicariously
I want
living
what
through their children.
that's
yeah.
actually
That's pressure, man. I'm not needed.
yeah, it's like most of the doctors we have out there now. You know why a lot of reason they're shit? They don't want to be there.
No, they're false, man. Yeah.
They don't want to be there. They actually can't have a conversation. Honestly.
Yeah.
Everything is transactional.
It is, man.
'Cause
Or a book.
imagine that all your life. Look, how many happy doctors do you meet?
No.
Yeah, so very important what your attitude towards him, and that's actually to be commended. Also, as a new father, how do you balance your new challenges with the responsibilities of raising a child?
Yeah, look, I wasn't working since my injury. I've done a few things, but I haven't had anything like proper concrete. And I've been working with AQA for the last 6 months now. So, and that's 3 days a week. So then it was all right. So now I wake up, 5:30, 6 o'clock to go train before work, come home, do my bowel routine, shower, breakfast. Leash and the little fella will be up by then, muck around him for 15, 20 minutes and then hit the road, go to work. So it's been, a big adjustment, but in that 6-month period, he was only 6 months old for most of that, 6 months, 7 months. So he wasn't really doing much, where now in this period that I've had off work, he's grown a lot. And obviously our connection's grown because I've been at home a whole lot more. So I think I'm going to be pretty sad when I got to go to work on Monday in a couple of weeks, and have my time away from him. And I think I'm going to really, really start to, when you have something and then I'm losing him, but something's going to get a bit taken away from me because I've got a commitment to go and work. I think I'm going to really understand the value of him and what we have when I need to go to work. I don't think at the moment, I've had a really good 4 or 5 weeks with him. We've been together pretty much every single day. We've been in the pool, being out for walks, we've been hanging out here, he's mucking around at home. We're learning his quirks, him understanding more about me as well. But yeah, I think on Feb 3rd, when I go to work on that Monday, I'm going to be pretty sad.
Do you really think one could understand or even begin to understand what life is without creating?
Yeah, for sure. I don't think it's for everybody, and I don't think everyone should do it. I know a lot of my mates haven't had children and aren't going to have children. I think the shift, like you had kids earlier, I tell you what, not 38 years old. The shift is, and I'm glad I didn't have it through my addiction period because, poor child coming into a world like that. But I know a lot of my mates are uninterested, and, it's happening a lot later as well.
I just say you're lucky if you have them and you're lucky if you don't.
Yeah, man, it's a choice. Yeah. And most people, not most, sorry, I shouldn't say that, but people shouldn't have kids as well.
It's true, yeah.
Yeah, people shouldn't have kids. There are some, kids are born into some really messed up places, and,
I see a lot of that on the road when I'm on the road, driving different suburbs. It's like, yeah. So what values and lessons do you hope to pass on to your child, especially considering everything you've been through?
Be a funny fucker. That's it, man. Be funny. Don't take life too serious. I don't, be respectful when you walk into a room, you kiss and say hello to everybody that's older than you. Just that, man. Respect, have fun, chill out. I won't push much onto him. If he wants to become a surfer, if he wants to become an engineer, if he wants to cut grass, go ahead, man.
I always say I don't care what my kids do for a living, as long as what's important is they're a good person.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. That's the look. I left school at 15, 16 years old. I wish mum and dad put me into a trade, but they didn't have the knowledge back then to do that. I've got the knowledge to know not to put pressure on my child to become a soccer player like I was, and push him to a point where, like, my dad never pushed me. He pushed me to a certain point, but he never pushed me.
He never worked, did he?
No, he worked here and there, but nothing concrete. And I think that's why when Like, and I look back and it's like, I don't really want, and I've kind of led that life as well, where I've had heaps of jobs, but nothing.
Same as me.
Yeah, that's right. You've done the same thing. But you've obviously got, the business that you've had for, I don't even know how long now, but, so there's that where, and that's why now I'm trying to set that straight and, create some stuff so that there's, I'm looking at buying a business, been looking for a little while. So it's just something that, is ours, is our family's.
No, I said it'll come when at the smallest thing when you least expect it. And I'll tell you this too. Listen, sometimes in life, like you do something, right, whatever it is, and it's not for people to understand what you're doing. But if you're waiting for people's opinions, or dude, you might as well stay in bed.
Yeah, man. I was like that. I was a people pleaser. I still am at a certain
I'll tell you a story. When I drove trucks at my last job, I used to work 14-hour night shifts. I had 2 kids under 2. I come home, have a shower, eat some ice cream, go to bed. And I knew growing up as a kid, all I ever wanted to do is be in a position, take my kids to school and pick them up, because my dad never did that for me. So I knew it wasn't about the money, it was about the freedom. So when I started...
Is what did night shift?
Yeah. Well, I did, dude, I was making good money. Back then I was making $1,500 a week. This is in 2008. Anyway, so I remember telling one of the guys I'm leaving. He's like, "You money hungry, Wog? What do you want to leave for, right? You're money hungry." In my head, once he said that, I was never even going to begin to explain. I was never going to understand it. But watch in time, when you back yourself, everything adds up. Everything makes sense. I get a text message about 6 months ago from the same guy.
No way.
He asked me, "Chad, can you call me?" I said, "Yeah, what's up?" I don't know, Michael Jordan, whatever his name is. He said, "Oh, Chad, I'm actually thinking of starting a business like yours." I go, "Listen, I'll always encourage someone to better themselves. Good luck. Here's my advice. If you need anything, call me." So don't wait for people's opinions, man. Because you'll be stuck in an invisible cage.
Yeah, for sure. Like, and this is a younger version of me, where I'm always looking, are you happy with that? Are you this with this? That it would be a very different, a weaker version of who I am these days, where now we're like, I'm going to get something that is going to be beneficial for us, for me to work in, to be independent. Do my hours.
There's a purpose, to have a purpose, to keep that blood pumping.
Yeah, man.
And we're now getting to the most important part of this podcast. This is the important bit, because this, what you say, what you and I are talking about now, is our words in life that'll stay forever, and most importantly, add value to people's lives. Reflection and looking forward, and looks differently for everyone. If you could go back and tell your younger self one bit of advice, what would it be?
Nothing. Do it all again.
Chopper Reed said he had no regrets.
Yeah.
I struggled to understand that for a while, but I'm with him.
Man, like I said, everything that I have done has led me to here. Yes, very, very low moments, so many highs. I'm healthy. My missus is healthy. My son's healthy. We own our home. We do what we want. We go where we want. We eat what we want. We've got a lot of knowledge. We've got a lot of family around us. We're very wealthy in that department. I get to go to work because I want to work, and it's just one of those things. Like why I train. I train for me. I train to get better. I train to get healthier, fitter, all that type of stuff. It's good for the brain. So no, I definitely wouldn't change anything, man. I'm very happy with how my life is to date. Will something happen in the future? Who knows? But right now, just leave it as is.
God bless. And it's interesting. Yeah, people say, family, marriage. Listen, it's actually not family or marriage. It's what you're looking for is unity, and you have that with what you have, and it's...
No, definitely, man. We're very lucky. We've got, like I said, a good family around us that when we need, speak to my mother-in-law, do you mind taking the Tilio, for a few hours or a day or a night?
How did you get that name? Italian, right?
Yeah, so her uncle and grandfather were both Attilios. So Attilio in Sardinia is like a John. But the rest of Italy, you don't really hear about it. So every time I hear an Attilio, like, "Oh, are you from Sardinia?" Like, "Yeah, do you know?" I was like, yada, yada, yada.
It's funny because the old school Wog names were frowned upon. Now they're making a comeback. It's cool.
I always said, I wouldn't name my son a name like a Wog name because of pronunciation, because of how I grew up with Jun and Can. But I was like, and then Alicia's like, I'm going to call him Tilsey. She was like, "What?" I'm like, "Tilsey, man. He's around Aussies.
He lives in Mornos.
Yeah, he lives in Mornos. He's going to be a surfer. Tilsey."
So what's next for you in terms of your personal growth and professional growth?
So as we alluded to earlier, we're doing a Spartan race 22nd of Feb, 21Ks up the plantations in Bright. We did it last year. You know, a lot of boys exceeded their expectations of what they actually thought they could do mentally and physically. And I think I know I've done it. I'll do it again and again and again. So I think for me personally, I would love to get other people with disabilities. Spinal cord injury would obviously be up my alley because I can really educate them on how to do things, and they'll bring their crews and, you know, do these type of things. But I think it's just to empower people, man. Empower. Like I'm at a place with my work where I get to go visit regional communities with people with spinal cord injury and like similar disabilities, and I'm learning, man. I'm learning from guys who a couple of months into their retirement, they fall off a ladder and snap a neck and are happy. And then I meet people who've been in chairs for 30, 40 years and, you know what I mean, and are happy as well. So I think I'm very, very lucky with what I get to see on a day-to-day basis with my life, with my work, and in throwing what I'm able to do and, you know, hopefully empower some people and, you know, move forward from there.
So you'll understand this. If someone gave me all the money in the world and I wasn't able to help others,
I'll take the money, don't get me wrong. I'll definitely take it because it'll help somewhere, but
yeah,
I'm not going to take money over happiness. That's definitely what I mean. And it's like, but then again, sometimes the financial freedom can allow happiness. So you can't have one without the other and not the other without the one.
yeah, you need freedom too, but to find your freedom, you need to find your purpose.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I said. They work hand in hand. You might find your purpose after the money. Who knows? It's just who's your real friends after that. But yeah, I wouldn't say no to the money.
And I wouldn't say no to hiring a guy out of the army again in my life.
Please don't.
I'll just share a little glimpse of this little private joke. So when I had my business, I really struggled to find good staff. And so I put an ad and I find a young man called Lenny Redrose who just came out of the army. I thought, perfect, disciplined, you know, fully regimented. Boy, about 5 minutes after I met him, you know, I realized that was a big fuck up. But I always realized he's exactly like me. He's got 1 foot in the boat, 1 foot in the canoe, and up in the river.
No, it was really one of those moments that, you know, the blessing in disguise moments of meeting a friend and a brother for life. You know, it's been 9 years since I started working with you, man. 8 years in the chair, and we haven't stopped talking ever since. You know, it's your lows and my highs and vice versa. We've been next to each other. We've got you know, now doing the Spartan, things like that. It's
I'll
amazing.
do it for as long as I'm able to do it.
Yeah, for
if
sure.
If it was 100 Ks, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And you know, like, I wasn't going to mention this, but I remember when you first were in that chair, I would go visit you.
Yeah.
And I'd come out of there, sit in my car and cry because I'd never seen it before. It actually hurt me that much. I felt guilty. I actually felt guilty that I could walk and you couldn't. That's why I decided to do that ride, because I just wanted to suffer.
Thank you.
I wanted to suffer. I know people won't understand this unless they go through it. And that's what a trauma looks differently for everyone.
For sure.
But do something positive with it. You have done it.
Yep.
And I'm beginning to do it. And this is our story.
That's it. Love you, brother.
Thank you for coming in, bro.